you're a real artist, you will go all the way. And if you're an artist as opposed to a careerist, they can never beat you.
What's the worst movie you've ever seen? For a long time, I would always say Jupiter Ascending, because it was the first movie I saw in theaters where I was just laughing at how out of whack it was. And not only tone, but concept. I was 14, and before Jupiter Ascending, I usually did what movies directed me to do. Laugh when they tell a joke, cry when the music gets all sad, feel suspense when the score starts sounding suspenseful. But this didn't happen with Jupiter Ascending. I remember me and my dad trying so hard to hold in our laughs when things were supposed to be serious. And much to my surprise, after a while, we didn't have to, because the whole theater started laughing during the dramatic parts as well. By the end of the film, the whole audience had joined together in some delirious, hysterical, laugh-filled coping group session. As soon as it was over, someone stood up and said, "Well, that sure was something, wasn't it, folks?" And everyone just let out one last laugh before leaving their seats. It was such a thrilling experience because up to that point, I had watched thousands and thousands of movies, and none had made me feel quite like that. I finally had a movie I could say was the worst movie I've ever seen. Then, a little bit of time after this, I began something that I'm sure a lot of you listening can relate to. I began my official true cinephile era. I nosedived so hard into cinema, it would even give Scrooge McDuck a run for his money. I began watching all the greats: Citizen Kane, Amelie, The Godfather, Taxi Driver, Apocalypse Now, American Beauty, The Usual Suspects, the Breaking the Rules French New Wave video essay over and over to prepare me to really dive into the French New Wave. Every frame of painting, especially the How to Do Visual Comedy one, and totally used it to steal Edgar Wright's style in my crappy student short films. I started reading screenplays, writing them, listening to them, filmmaker podcasts, more great films like Children of Men, Dr. Strangelove, Breathless, studying long shots, wonders, pans, slides, tilts, 180 rule, color theory, more films that became increasingly harder for the average person to watch, like City Lights, Battleship Potemkin, Antichrist, and some so hard it took multiple times for me to get through them, like Synecdoche, New York, 2001 Space Odyssey, Nymphomaniac. I watched all the greats, everything from the works of Hitchcock, Scorsese, Kubrick, Coppola, Cuarón, this terrible person who I didn't know was terrible when I was 14. He had made 51 films at this point and I had watched 17. I got into the oh-so-inspiring, scrappy, but great, no-budget independent features like Clerks, El Mariachi, Primer, Brothers McMullen. Between 2015 and 2017, I saw so many generationally all-time great movies that it completely broke my brain. It really warped my perception. If all you're seeing is greatness, then just good is a shocker, and something really mediocre would disgust me. I mean, going from watching every film from AFI's top 100 list, then to go on to Paul Blart's Mall Cops 2 after just wasn't going to cut it. It's like when someone's stranded on an island without food for too long. They can't just eat a burger because it'll make them sick. They gotta get eased into it. This is such a common experience for our young cinephiles. With so much access to the vast world of cinema, they can be recommended great films across oceans, cultures that defy their native tongue, and watch them all at the click of a finger. We're gonna invent a word for this phenomenon because once again, Shakespeare invented words all the time and he was the best to ever do it. So we will call this phenomenon the Great Filmtigue. During my Filmtigue, I had a revelation. Jupiter Ascending was great.
One time.
No, I hadn't gone mad from the sheer amount of films I watched. I had gained knowledge and clarity. Jupiter Ascending wasn't the offensive piece of art I thought it was.
5 times.
After watching so many great films, I realized that the real offensive art was art that was forgettable.
9 times.
So forgettable that once you watch it, it just goes through one ear and out the other. Almost like you didn't spend 2 hours of your time completely undistracted in a dark theater. Completely unmemorable and unremarkable in every way. And what is more offensive than that? You paid your hard-earned money and you should at least have an experience. And instead it was a waste of time. Your limited minutes on this earth was spent on 2 hours you could have totally went without. It affected your life in no way whatsoever. I'm trying to name an example of one of these films, and I can't because like I said, I watched them and it left no lasting impact. So I'm just gonna Google a random movie from 2015 that I saw but have no memory of. Yeah, let's just go with Black Mass, because I know for sure I saw this, but can I remember a single scene of it or a feeling that it made me feel? No. Which brings me back to Jupiter Ascending. Am I saying it's a good movie as far as script and directing? No, not at all. It's bad, but it's great art, because it does what art is supposed to do. Art is supposed to make you feel something, change your life, alter a perspective, give you an experience, and it did that. In an age where so many movies are gray, uninspiring remakes, or just formulaic crap, Jupiter Ascending was none of that. It was a big budget, completely original concept with bold ideas and bold choices. It was so striking that I would rather watch 100 movies like it than Avengers 11 or whatever that's directed by a committee and not by a person. In a world where the film business is more focused on the business than the film, and studios are scared of filmmakers actually making bold choices, this movie did that in some. It achieved something I truly admire, something I will defend for the rest of my life, no matter how many YouTuber film critics disparage it. It attained something that you will find in not only the great movies of all time, but the quote-unquote worst ones too, and it mastered it to a T. It mastered the art of going for it.
I'm a fire starter, twisted fire starter. I'm a fire starter.
In filmmaking, there's so many restrictions. If you're on the level of me, your friend Nico Swan, it's probably money. You can't afford too many extras. No, you can't afford to do a car chase safely. You'll hurt someone. If you're on a bigger level, the restrictions can come from the studio. Can you not have your character say that? It's offensive. Can you edit it down? It's a little long. Add more action scenes. It's boring. Don't cast this person. They don't have enough social media followers. Don't cast this person. They're too short. Don't cast this person. They're too crazy and unpredictable. But what happens when the restrictions are completely off and the director is just completely free to their own devices? Well, it's usually a recipe for peak, going for it. It's not always everyone's cup of tea, but it's always worth seeing for the sheer respect and spectacle of going for it. Now, this is rare because even some of the best, most acclaimed directors don't have final cut of the movie, meaning they don't decide the final version of what is shown on screen. Even young director Damien Chazelle had to give final cut to Jason Reitman, who was not even really involved with the production of the movie, just to ensure that his vision of Whiplash wouldn't be ruined by businessmen. So what are times when the director is free to just completely and utterly go for it? Well, the first category we will call the hot shot. The young hotshot director just made film history and won their first Oscar, and now with the peak commercial and critical acclaim, the world is completely their oyster. The sky's the limit and they have a blank check to do whatever their imaginations can muster. Think of our friend Damien Chazelle again. After La La Land, he was given permission to make an 80 million, 3-hour-long epic period drama meta commentary about Hollywood starring Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt that somehow ends on a montage featuring The Wizard of Oz, Matrix, and 2009's Avatar. It really went for it. It was such a daring piece of work to be put on film. Damien Chazelle just said, F it. And everyone said, okay, he made La La Land, let him do what he wants. 9.9 times out of 10, they don't let you make blockbusters like this anymore. And it shows the power of having the final cut and the willpower to go for it. Another film we have to talk about in the art of going for it is another intertwined stories flick, which you will see is a common theme in this hotshot director category. This movie is Magnolia, and I absolutely love this film. It's a movie that once you see it, it will never leave your mind. It's such a striking, artful piece of work and shows that sometimes good things can come from the freedom of going for it. The opening is one of those openings that you see and it just immediately grabs you, and you won't be able to turn the movie off. I've been finessed into accidentally watching this whole movie like 6 times. If you don't believe me, just give it a try.
17-year-old Sidney Barringer in the city of Los Angeles on March 23rd, 1958. It is in the humble opinion of this narrator that this is not just something that happened, one of those things. This, please, cannot be that. And for what I would like to say, this was not just a matter of chance. These strange things happen all the time.
Also, the ending. I don't know if it's a spoiler to talk about, but if you know, you know. This film is set on one random day in San Fernando Valley. A dying father, a famous lost son, a boy genius, an ex-boy genius, a game show host, and an estranged daughter will each become part of a dazzling multiplicity of plots. But one story. This movie reminds me of a piece of music composed by Mozart. All the storylines just intricately build together to create a beautiful crescendo. And like most going for it movies, you see it didn't make a ton at the box office, but that's okay. It's almost the purpose of the hotshot going for it movie. These directors know that this is their one chance they can create something truly unique without resistance. Why make the safer thing now when you could just make it later? But this moment right now is your one opportunity to make this thing. There's just no way a 26-year-old Paul Thomas Anderson gets this made if he didn't come off of 3 Oscar nominations for Boogie Nights and it not only becoming a box office hit, but a DVD hit as well. These hotshot director going for it movies aren't always bombastic, epic pictures. Some are slow, sprawling, important works that the director just doesn't want to get messed up. We see that with Barry Jenkins' If Beale Street Could Talk. When you're adapting the great black literature of James Baldwin, you don't want any resistance from people who don't know his work and whose life weren't moved by his words. You want to be able to do it right. Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown was his big hotshot going for it film. And like most going for it films, he was able to do fun things like cast the 70s exploitation star Pam Grier in a career-redefining role, and have Samuel L. Jackson wearing whatever this getup is. The unmistakably original Mickey 17 falls into this category for Bong Joon-ho after Parasite, Emerald Fennell Saltburn after Promising Young Woman, the very long Revenant Ali G. Iñárritu was able to make after crushing it with Birdman. Jordan Peele was able to make this very ambitious Us, as well as it having a very interesting, extensive marketing campaign, with unforgettable concepts all throughout the movie. Diablo Cody was able to make Jennifer's Body. There's no world where this movie can get made without Juno. Okay, so this category of the hot shot young director has a co-category to it, a 1.5. It's the starving young hotshot. It's kind of similar to the category we just talked about, so let's compare. Are the directors still young? Check. That's the same. Do they have any restrictions? Is anyone telling them what to do? No. Check. Okay, so what makes it different? The blank check. What happens when a young aspiring filmmaker is doing whatever they can to make their film? Whether it be donating their body to science like Robert Rodriguez did for El Mariachi, or maxing out credit cards like Kevin Smith did to make Clerks. These films weren't going for it because the filmmakers won some Oscar beforehand. They're going for it because they had no choice. This was a sink or swim moment. They had to make an impactful film because their lives depended on it. They had to put food on the table, to feed their families, to save them from the mediocrity of 9-to-5 life. They couldn't afford to make a fence-sitting, mediocre art. This subcategory shows how sometimes limitations can be a blessing. I mean, quite literally, working within an art medium is itself limitation. Sculptors use clay, painters use paint. These limitations can cause for fun solutions to problems, like Rocky's poster being wrong.
The poster's wrong. Well, I'm wearing white pants with a red stripe.
Or the iconic running joke in Clerks that explains why the gate is down, or the reason why the film is in black and white in the first place. We see the solutions in Christopher Nolan's Following, where with no budget, it's easier to use hammers as weapons than guns. Pink Flamingos has to go for it because that's a surefire way to get press for your film, and it's an exercise in bad taste. John Cardi's Once does it and shows how sometimes you don't need something to be shot for millions of dollars to make a difference. Sometimes all you need is heart and great songs. You can still win an Oscar and change music movie history forever.
We made this film 2 years ago. We shot it on 2 handy cams. It took us 3 weeks to make. We made it for 100 grand. We never thought we'd ever come into a room like this and be in front of you people.
Ed Wood's Planet 9 from Outer Space really goes for it and shows sometimes all you need is $60,000, Bela Lugosi, and a dream. You won't hear a lot of artists say this, but limitations are important. With limitation comes concentration, and with concentration comes a tightness that doesn't allow excess and makes for a more precise, articulated moving film. That's why if we're talking about what's better, I would take most of the films from the starving hotshot going for it list than the post-Oscar blank check hotshot list. What about an independent, not so young hotshot with no Hollywood connections, but seemingly a limitless budget that we don't know where the money comes from? In a movie that technically does not work in really any way, but is a real piece of art because it leaves an impression for the rest of your life and goes on to inspire screenings across the world, fan meetups, merch, and even a more watchable movie that's still less iconic than the original. We could be here for hours talking about ways Tommy Wiseau's Room goes for it, so I'll just play some of my favorite scenes from this beautifully stupid little masterpiece.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Nobody wants to help me, and I'm dying. I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer.
Everybody betrayed me. I'm fed up with this world.
Out of the hundreds of 2003 independent movies that were made, was The Room better than any of them? No, but choices were made. You could tell this movie was crafted with an artist behind the lens, and for that it will stand the test of time. The next category is the auteur. The auteur doesn't just have one Oscar win proving why they should have a blank check. They have an entire career of greatness to prove why they should be able to make whatever the hell they please for the rest of their lives. And rightfully so. The auteur is your grumpy grandpa who might say the most out-of-pocket, out-of-touch things you've ever heard. But he's grandpa, and women weren't even allowed to own credit cards when he was born. It was a different time, so don't call him out on anything. The auteur has put too much time into the game and worked too hard to be fake polite. They can tell it how it is.
The Marvel type pictures where the theaters become amusement parks, that's a different experience. And it's like, it's not even, I was saying earlier, it's not cinema, it's something else, you know, whether you go for that or not, but it is something else and they shouldn't be invaded by it.
They've got real cinema on the run, so to speak. It's very difficult for films of substance.
And much like Grandpa at Thanksgiving, they get final say. And don't you dare even think about challenging them. They can truly go for it until they pass away. I mean, who else could make a 3-hour, 29-minute mafia movie that's a meditation on life, death, and longing regret, where a 76-year-old Robert De Niro plays a 24-year-old? Why not just hire a young actor, you ask? Don't you dare question Grandpa, he was a nom! Only the auteur could attempt to tell a story like the mesmerizing Zodiac movie. Wes Anderson's entire career could be seen as going for it, which is easier for him because his going for it isn't very expensive. No crazy action set pieces, just an equalizer, stop motion designs, and some symmetry. Tarantino somewhat graduated from the hotshot to auteur with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but he really graduated truly with Inglourious Basterds. And to be completely honest, he really graduated before that after Pulp Fiction. But I will talk about Inglourious Basterds because it's one of the most going for it movies ever made. It's the only high-octane action-packed movie on my all-time favorites list. The power of the auteur director allows you to go for it in ways you didn't even think were possible. You can literally change history and turn Hitler's self-annihilation into a groovy, gruesome, brutal firing squad assassination. I remember seeing this movie for the first time, and it truly changed my life. It showed what cinema could be. Something could be a hilarious, entertaining movie, but still be a thoughtful piece of art. Populist movie making where the vast majority of people liking something doesn't make it stupid, it makes it even better. Yes, we can create things most people like and not have it be void of artistry. The two aren't mutually exclusive. If the movies are like amusement parks, then Inglourious Bastards is the top speed dragster. Tarantino shows what you can do once you not only have a blank check, but once you have mastered your craft in terms of writing and directing. I could point to this infamous scene that has a life of its own now, but let's go to the opening, which is a masterclass in writing and directing suspense.
Reward. And that reward will be your family will cease to be harassed in any way by the German military during the rest of our occupation of your country.
Much like LeBron in his second year in Miami, Tarantino says, "Last offseason, I put that work in. Now, I am a completely different animal, incomparable to the rest." It reminded me that at the end of the day, the average film's goal should be to please the audience and make it worthwhile. And Tarantino has mastered that again and again. One of my best moments in a theater is when I saw Django Unchained Christmas Eve when I was 12 in 2012. It was a completely packed theater. I remember how electric the crowd was. Every line had the audience erupting with laughter. Every suspenseful moment had them grabbing their chairs. The triumph of Django was sent like a wave of energy to every audience member. It was so captivating, just pure bliss. And one of those memories that will always make me the ultimate advocate for the theater experience. But more importantly, it showed me what art can do and how it can affect people, and how one day I hope to also create something that will affect a large audience so deeply. Tarantino's entire filmography shows what a real auteur can do at the height of their powers with a blank check, sheer willpower, skills, and the mastery of the art of going for it. Like I said, the auteur is granted more privileges than the average Joe. If a film is behind schedule and over budget, the average Joe will have a big problem. There's movies like 2006's rendition of Revenge of the Nerds that was just completely canceled because the studio didn't like what it was seeing. But that might be better than the alternative, because if you're not an auteur, the studio can just come in and force you to change your entire film, or decide to replace you with another director. Like we saw Phil Lord and Chris Miller get fired from Solo. This is such a common occurrence that there was a group that even tried to get Francis Ford Coppola replaced on The Godfather. And this also was most famously and criminally done to Justice League. But when you're the auteur, there's very few things that can stop your production. When you're the greatest to ever do it, Stanley Kubrick, then you can even break the record for the longest continuous film shoot ever at 1 year, 8 months for Eyes Wide Shut. It's absolutely crazier when you find out the stars had to sign a contract to say they weren't allowed to do any other films until Eyes Wide Shut was finished, and the contract did not state any end in sight. Harvey Keitel smartly got out of there halfway through production before that madness could ensue.
He was a genius. Mr. Kubrick did some things I objected to. I didn't like. I thought they were disrespectful, and I won't be disrespected by him or anybody. And if any actor can help it, they should help it.
Yeah.
You don't want to get fired.
No.
But I was.
Is that the Brooklyn in you, do you think?
It's a sense of worth in me.
Harvey Keitel was in the Eyes Wide Shut. He was playing the Sidney Pollack. Like he's walking through a door, and I think that after the 68th take of this, walking through the door, Harvey Keitel just said, yeah, he said, I'm out of here, you're crazy.
68 takes of walking through the door, though, yeah.
You're fucking out of your mind.
And that was it?
Yeah, and left.
Stanley was so technical to the point that he would come to set early and meticulously change all the lighting, camera angles, and blocking for hours before he actually ever started filming anything. And once he started filming, it didn't get any better. He famously had Tom Cruise redo a take of him just walking 95 times. He even made poor Shelley Duvall do this take of her traumatizingly going up the stairs 127 times. Stanley's methods were oh so crazy and would give modern intimacy coordinators a heart attack. He made Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman tell him all their marital feelings and didn't allow them to talk to anyone else. I mean, this guy was literally torturing people. Why didn't no one stop him? Well, when you're a sadistic genius that happens to be an auteur, not only can you get away with it, but the actors will be grateful that they even got a chance to work with you. It's like slapping someone in the face and then spitting on them and they say, thank you. Oh, the power of being acclaimed. We can't talk about auteur, torture, or even hotshot plus starving hotshot, because this man here is an amalgamation of everything we mentioned so far. The man, the myth, the legend, the GOAT of going for it. Actually, it's too early to talk about the GOAT of going for it. We usually end on the big things, right? Like we did with Eternal Sunshine in the last video. So let's go to our next category in the art of the going for it movie. The concept. The concept is new. It breaks the rules in a way so jarring that the audience can't help but to notice. The best examples of this is what we saw in the French New Wave, where film critics Truffaut, Godard, and Varda were so disillusioned with the films coming out of the system that they decided to make their own movies and didn't care about any of the so-called rules. Continuity became a suggestion, the fourth wall became clear and malleable, the editing almost became like another character. My personal favorites are The Uniquely Itself, Period Le Fou by Godard, and the heartwarming, shockingly progressive for the time, One Sings and the Other Doesn't by Agnes Varda. The concept can be just a simple idea that hasn't quite been done before, like filming a movie over 12 years, where we literally get to experience watching a boy grow up in boyhood. And boy, did this experiment work wonderfully. It was so surreal to watch this child grow and go through all the things we did as we grew up. It was so heartwarming seeing him experience all the important 2000s culture points, like learning to crank that Soulja Boy, staying up till midnight to get the new Harry Potter book, or even the first hangout you have with your dad post-divorce, and it's the coolest yet somehow somber adventure ever, only for your mom to remind you that it's easy to be the cool parent if you only see them one day on the weekend. This movie especially meant a lot to me, as I saw it at a time where I was going through a lot of changes as a 14-year-old boy. I had just quit my lifelong hobby of playing basketball, which I was really good at, but I chose to quit to do theater. Please, no Troy Bolton comparisons. But I felt like I finally found my people when I joined theater. And that was one of the main themes of Boyhood. As we watch Mason grow into truly himself and to be comfortable enough in his own skin that he was able to find what a lot of young adults hope to find: community. I remember especially tearing up, not only because of the shared experiences of the character, but because of the fact that the character Mason, played by Ellard Coltrane, was born the same year as my brother, 1994. So many shared memories with my brother came racing back. Us sneaking to watch Harry Potter movies that our family deemed too sinful, learning all the Crank That Dance variations, and even later some experiences that my brother told me about that I didn't quite experience with him directly because I was way younger. Experiences like trying marijuana, the ending scene of seeing a 19-year-old Mason who just started to truly be exposed to life as an adult, yet have so much more to learn and experience, and the limitless potential of who he could become really sent a spike directly to my heart, causing the tears to come crashing down. Because my brother never got past that point. He was shot to death at age 19, just like the movie, 1994 to 2014, a completely different type of boyhood.
You crank that soldier boy, you crank that soldier boy.
I don't mean to make you sad, but I told you that to show how impactful filmmaking is when it's from an artist's perspective. A lot of art made by committee is scared of specific. They want to relate to as many people as possible, so it becomes vague and the feelings are lost in translation. They don't know that artists that go for it write specific experiences. They draw a clear picture in our heads that we can relate to, and even though it might not be exactly the same, we can connect it to experiences we did have. It doesn't become lost in translation. Music does this very well. They have less pressure to be made by committee. This radical specificity is a staple in the art of going for it. The concept could be an experiment, not only like filming over 12 years, but it can be a more abstract experiment, like an experiment in bad taste like we see in most John Waters movies. An experiment in how much the audience can truly take, like in Lars von Trier's work. The concept can be real technological advancement. Rocky Steadicam shot, which invented a way to run and follow an actor, but keep the smoothness. It might not look like it, but Rocky is a real go-for-it movie. The 30-year-old Sylvester Stallone stars in it, with no prior acting roles except being an extra. He writes this film fights tooth and nail, and turns down money just so studios can allow him to star in it. Then, on a shoestring budget, they make this boxing story work, and it goes on to win Best Picture. The greatest go for it racks richest success in Hollywood history. Usually, the more of an auteur you are, the more technological experiments you're allowed. Only the auteur could attempt to tell a story like the mesmerizing Zodiac movie, and be allowed to film entirely CG environments way before everyone was even considering it. If you're just some Joe, the studio would say, just film it in camera in real life, use fake special effects blood. But what Fincher does works so well. It gives this omnisciently smooth look to the film that just grabs your eye. Annihilation is really one big technological experiment. Off the heels of Ex Machina, the director Alex Garland was able to do a lot of new things with score, sound, and just visuals. I mean, remember, look at the bear. Remember the bear? But if we're talking about pure technological advancements, we gotta talk about 2009's Avatar, which completely advanced 3D and motion graphics. It was something people said you absolutely had to see in person, just because of how much they were able to do and how innovative it was. This helped it become the highest grossing film of all time. James Cameron has mad technological advancement after advancement, hit after hit. He's the only director that truly has a blank check and green light to make whatever he wants, because 3 of his films are the highest grossing films of all time. He puts his money where his mouth is. His ultimate greenlight status got 5 Avatar movies with billions of dollars in combined budget greenlit without having a script or as much as an outline. Look at this Way of Water hand shot. Sorry guys, but I gotta pick the sequel over the original. Avatar was a technical marvel. Let's go way back in film history, shall we? And talk about one of the first technical marvels seen on film. No, I'm not talking about that racist ass movie. I'm talking about the only silent era film on my all-time favorite list, and something I literally have tattooed on my body, A Trip to the Moon. It's the ultimate go for it in an era of not a lot of going for it. One of the first narrative movies in a time when people were just filming real life or films with little imagination. Georges Méliès decided he would not be limited by what was possible at the time. He said, fuck that, I'm literally going to make a film where our characters travel to the moon. I don't care if it's 1902, I'm going to will it. We're going to paint it into the world of possible. We're going to tell a story. I don't care if we don't have color film yet. I'm literally going to paint over each frame and bring this film to life. Most experimental flicks go for it. It's in the name. I personally love Daisies. It follows Mary and Marie as they get up to mischief. And this daring, feminist-powered film decided to go for it by doing a lot of cool things with the camera and film medium. Just look at it. Oh, so cool. The concept can also be seen in the name itself. Cool concepts, ideas, world building that decide to fully go for it. It might not seem like it now, but Star Wars was really going for it in 1977. A vast galaxy with centuries worth of myth and lore that build into the world you're in. It completely invented concepts like Sith, Jedi, lightsaber, just going for it. We love a good concept. The very courageous Stardust, a fantasy film that has a memorable Robert De Niro sounding straight from New York City.
What the hell is this?
What are you doing here?
The multi-dimensional concept in Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is interesting that I loved it so much because in 2016, I was lucky enough to go to Sundance, where I watched the directors, the Daniels' first film, Swiss Army Man. It was the talk of the town during that time. There's reports of people walking out, booing, so much controversy, which is a real sign of going for it. And even 16-year-old Nico Swan was so intrigued with a movie that could cause such an uproar. When I finally saw it, I hated it. All the farting and DIY score throughout did nothing for me. I loathed it so much. If Daniel Radcliffe, Paul Dano, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead didn't come out after, it probably would have ruined my day.
It's truly original.
But now, when I think back on it, it's one of the more memorable films I saw that year. That's what the art of going for it can do. There's the indescribable, purely idiosyncratic concept of just the entire vibe of me, you, and everyone we know. The concept of the Truman Show, where our reality show star becomes conscious and attempts to escape. Truly a concept that will never leave our minds, especially as we become even more broadcasted. The concept of a superhero family movie, but It's less about crime fighting and more about marriage, midlife crises, and family. If you don't think this movie is going for it, just remember this scene after Mr. Incredible saves a man from offing himself.
Didn't ask to be saved. Mr. Sansweet didn't want to be saved. And the injury received from Mr. Incredible's actions, so-called, causes him daily pain. Hey, I saved your life. You didn't save my life, you ruined my death.
Mad Max Fury Road goes for it all thanks to the madman, George Miller. Where, I'm not going to describe it, just look at this.
I want them back! They're my property!
This is all real stuff they did. The movie is just one big chase scene. Max had 63 lines of dialogue. George Miller had the audacity to go for it in ways only he knows how. Children of Men goes for it in a lot of ways that I could talk about for hours, but just look at this oneer. Her goes for it. A romance with an AI sounds less crazy now, but in 2013, it was very abstract. Everyone likes to play armchair quarterback and say, of course that movie was going to be successful. It's all about space samurais. You can't go wrong with that, or high-octane car stunts. It's a great concept. It can't go wrong. But oh, it can and has. The great concept works really well when it does, and works terrible when it doesn't. Nothing can be more divisive. It inspires talks of highs and lows for years to come. Nowhere is this example more potent than with who I'm going to talk about next. The queens of the concept themselves, the Wachowskis. In 1999, the Wachowskis were inspired by cyberpunk, anime, and the philosophical ideas of Plato's cave allegory. They used all this pre-existing aberration to create truly the most iconic concept of our time that is still used in a lot of very different ways today.
The Matrix is trying to frame me, but God knows the truth.
Obviously, the Matrix is about
Transpolitics.
crypto-fascism
It's a metaphor.
of capitalist exploitation.
The Matrix. Imagine the world you're in isn't the real world, but a virtual reality. And in the real world, you're a slave to sentient technology. That is the Matrix. But it's not only the concept that made it successful. The Wachowskis made bold creative choices like the iconic costumes that are easily recognizable today and make for a great quick last-minute Halloween costume. The beautifully choreographed kung fu by the acclaimed choreographer Wendy Wu Ping. The oh-so aesthetically pleasing tints in the world of the Matrix. Bullet time. I could go on, but this perfectly executed concept went on to change cinema forever and show what an action sci-fi movie can be if you're as fearless as the Wachowskis and commit to completely going for it. Buy into the world you're creating, have no doubts, and be confident. They were at the top of the world. What can go wrong?
There's a time, actually, that I would have actually considered Matrix actually the official #2 after Battle Royale. However, I have to say that time was before Matrix 2 and 3 came out and actually ruined the mythology for me.
Well, the sequels. Universally panned, it changed already establishing world details. Some thought it was too preachy and philosophical. They leaned more into CGI that was only a small part of the first film. Unsatisfying mysteries. Me personally, I liked the sequels, but I'm in the minority. The Wachowskis didn't change. Nothing happened to them to make them lose their movie-making mojo and make so-called bad sequels, as people like to say. The same thing that made The Matrix so great was what made the sequels bad. When you don't play it safe and make bold choices, it can either be a hit or a strike. I mean, tell me, what was different? The original Matrix used new CGI technology, a hit. The sequels did as well, strike. The original had philosophy, hit. The sequels do it, strike. This is something that will continue throughout the rest of the Wachowskis' career. Hits or misses. It's kind of inspiring to never make something mediocre, just hits and misses. I admire this so much I showed aspirations of doing the same in an interview during my last movie premiere.
Right, my hopes and dreams. I'm trying to be the youngest Oscar winner in history for Best Director. I won 5 MTV Best Kiss Awards. I won 1 Razzie just to show that I was trying, you know.
Let's run through the rest of their filmography. One of my favorite films ever in V for Vendetta, in which our masked vigilante, V, fights an oppressive government. And it is not shy at all about the themes. We watch V use physical violent force to fight the fascist government that promotes totalitarianism, homophobia, Islamophobia, terrorism, which is really great. It highlights how well the Wachowskis do resistance, which we already saw with Neo. Now, after V for Vendetta, they became like Babe Ruth during his latter years. More strikes than home runs, but still cutting edge. Films that you'll never forget. We see that with Speed Racer, that to this day has some of the coolest shots I've ever seen. Fearlessly going for it in every frame. Again, really going for it. They shoot these race scenes like a modern neon version of French New Wave. Though critically panned, it has since gained a cult following that I'm somewhat a member of. After Speed Racer, we get the very divisive Cloud Atlas that is so iconic, it's still memed to this day. Then, they create probably the nail in the coffin to any hopes of being able to make an expensive blockbuster again. Jupiter Ascending. This movie, like I already said, was just bonkers. Bold choice after bold choice. I just watched this yesterday, and I still can't really put the concepts of it into words, so I used the internet to help out. According to IMDb, Jupiter Ascending centers on Jupiter Jones, an ordinary cleaning woman, and Kane Wise, an interplanetary warrior who informs Jones that her destiny extends beyond Earth. But that's not what's important from the film. What's important is the classic Wachowskis' bold choices. Let's run through them. Channing Tatum is a half-dog character that earns wings and uses these flying roller skate things. What? This guy is incestual with his mom. But my favorite bold choice, and the main reason I was laughing so much during the dramatic bits, is Eddie Redmayne's acting. His character is embodying the Wachowski style and running with it. Just watch this and tell me you wouldn't laugh too.
Any ship that comes near the planet. No! I create life! And I destroy it. You begged me to do it!
This movie is the ultimate go for it, and I respect it so much as art because of it. Finally, Lana goes solo to direct Matrix Resurrections. She makes the boldest choice to make this requel a meta-commentary on reboots, Hollywood themselves, even sneaking in a Warner Brothers roast in there.
Warner Brothers has decided to make a sequel to the trilogy.
What?
They informed me they're going to do it with or without us.
I thought they couldn't do that.
Oh, they can.
She also centers the story on love. Nothing close to the run-of-the-mill requel, cause Lana is no fence-sitter. No revolutionary like her can really be. It's against our nature. Now, like I promised, we will talk about the man, the myth, the legend of going for it. Francis Ford Coppola.
I'm standing next to a mountain, dropping down with the edge.
He represents every aspect we mentioned so far. Being given the blank check, being an auteur, innovations, and even a more expensive version of the starving hotshot by using his own money to fund his films. This man's entire metamorphosis state of being is going for it. He truly can't help himself. If the sun will continue to rise every day and the oceans will continue to send in tides, then Francis Ford Coppola, the ultimate artist, will continue to go for it. Before The Godfather, he started his own production company, American Zoetrope, hoping to be able to have a bohemian style of allowing young directors to make their own films. One of their first independent films was George Lucas's debut THX 1138. In classic Francis Ford Coppola fashion, it went $400,000 over budget. Francis, who after directing a couple of movies, had already grown tired of the studio system and did not want to return. But now, in financial ruin, he had no choice but to take a for-hire directing job. That job was The Godfather, and we all know how that turned out. And like Metamorphosis leads us to Francis Ford Coppola's own personal hell of a production, Apocalypse Now.
My film is not about Vietnam. It is Vietnam. It's what it was really like. It's crazy. And the way we made it was very much like the way the Americans were in Vietnam. We were in the jungle. There were too many of us. We had access to too many, too much money, too much equipment, and little by little we went insane.
The film follows a river journey from South Vietnam to Cambodia, undertaken by Captain Willard, who is on a secret mission to assassinate Colonel Kurtz, a renegade special forces officer who was accused of murder and presumed insane. The process of shooting this film became known as the most chaotic in film history. Many believe that nature itself cursed the movie, because during production, while just 2 months into shooting, they were already behind schedule and over budget, when a typhoon devastated all the Philippines. All the sets were destroyed, and they had to completely rebuild them from scratch. This caused the production to have to shut down for months. The complete shoot took a year and a half, which really took a toll on the actors. Martin Sheen had a heart attack. Harvey Keitel, once again, like a groundhog who can sense a hectic shoot, decides to smartly get out of there. They had to deal with the struggle of using Philippines' active military equipment.
In the middle of a complicated shot, the helicopters were called away to fight the rebels.
Taking away 5. 5? They said 2. Wait a second, stand by. We just heard they're taking away 5 of our helicopters. Should we do it? Do it, we'll have them next week. Do it next week.
And during the whole process, Francis Ford Coppola was growing mad. He was constantly rewriting the film. He didn't know what he had.
Feeling like an idiot. And having set in motion stuff that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't match. And yet I'm doing it. And the reason I'm doing it is out of desperation because I have no rational way to do it. What I have to admit is that I don't know what I'm doing.
How do you account for the discrepancy between what you feel bad and what everybody else who sees their feelings?
Because they see the magic of what has happened before. I'm saying, hey, it's not going to happen. I don't have any performances. The script doesn't make sense. I have no ending. I'm like a voice crying out, saying, please, it's not working. Somebody get me off this. And nobody listens. And everyone says, yeah, that's what Francis works best in a crisis. I'm saying this is one crisis I'm not going to pull myself out of. I'm making a bad movie, so why should I go ahead? I'd rather... I'm going to be bankrupt anyway. Why can't I just have the courage to say it's no good? There's no anything I do with that. I'm already thinking about what kind of sickness I can get. But there ain't on the platform thinking I just need to live like this all 30 feet. It might kill me, but it might paralyze me or something. And then it'll be a graceful way out.
He wanted to go for it and create greatness, but the path seemed impossible to him at the time. This was not helped when Marlon Brando showed up on set, overweight to the point that he couldn't fit his costume. He also had not read the script nor the book from which the movie was adapted from. A not going for it, lesser, unbold director would have handled this so many different ways. But Francis, the king of going for it, decides to literally read the Heart of Darkness book to Brando. Then just filmed Brando completely improvising, just going for it, based off the themes he got from the book from hearing it.
Improvisation every day between Marlon Brando and Marty Sheen. Would I at that time have more magical and in a way telling moments than if I just closed down for 3 weeks and write a structure than the act? And the answer would be, I'm much better off to do an improvisation every day.
260, take 3. The bloodlust. The others who are made to think but who can't act. We take. I swallow the book. It's irresistible, but when a bee discovers honey, he is irresistibly driven. Huh?
this shit show couldn't have turned out good. But not only was it good, it was great. Marlon's monologue became one of the best in movie history, and I still quote it to this day.
Are you an assassin? I'm a soldier. You're neither. You're an errand boy. Sent by grocery clerks to collect a bill.
This movie was not only a critical success, but a commercial one as well. This made Francis the pinnacle of going for it, because when everything was fighting against him, Mother Nature, Filipino rebel groups, his own mind, Francis decided to fight and make a bold piece of art. Even when the studio didn't give him money when he went over budget, he decided to use $30 million of his own money, using his home and winery as collateral. If that doesn't make you the king of going for it, I don't know what does. This film innovated the war film in cinematography. It was bold, striking, and every bit of chaos of the production can be felt while watching the movie. Coppola's resilience was oh so inspiring that it caused me to consume every interview he ever gave.
To me, the great hope is that now these little 8mm video recorders and stuff come out, some just people who normally wouldn't make movies are going to be making them. And, suddenly, one day, some little fat girl in Ohio is going to be the new Mozart, and make a beautiful film with her little father's camera recorder. And for once, the so-called professionalism about movies will be destroyed forever, and it'll really become an art form.
This especially inspired me when I was 16, because much like Coppola, I used all the money I saved up from my summer job at White Castle to fund my first short film where I was trying to go for it. Much like most student shorts, it was bad, but I still have such an appreciation of that step I took that I named my production company after that short film. A lot of folks think that the great director, Francis Ford Coppola, is somewhat still in that jungle because of the movies he made after. The first being One from the Heart, which to this day is stunning to look at and had a lot of technical innovations. It was shot at Zoetrope Studios. It bombed critically and commercially. But saying the great director Francis Ford Coppola is gone couldn't be farther from the truth. Those who say that didn't know Coppola to begin with. Coppola never wanted to be some big blockbuster crowd-pleasing filmmaker. Francis always was much more interested in avant-garde, independent stories. I mean, hell, he was done with Hollywood after only directing 2 movies. What makes Francis great is that he always was experimenting. He turned a mafia crime drama into really a story about family and the Americanization of the immigrant. He took a story about Vietnam and totally subverted the expectations by making it a deep study of the displacements of morality and war. Coppola was always bold. This wasn't something that came after being in the jungle. Telling the story in an impactful way was always the most important thing to him. We saw him fight tooth and nail to make it happen, like what he did to try to get Marlon Brando and Al Pacino casted in The Godfather, which was bold and crazy. Everyone doubted it, but it became the best acting we've ever seen on screen. He fought again and again and put his own money into his projects when most other directors would have sacrificed the quality of the project. Again and again, he goes for it full tilt. All gas, no brakes. Like Metamorphosis, at age 81, Francis returned for one more go for it, to show this industry what filmmaking is all about. Megalopolis. Coppola sold his wine business to be able to completely fund the $100 million himself. This was peak go for it. An 81-year-old auteur making bold choices, completely independent, no one could tell him no. You want to break the fourth wall and have the audience talk to the character in a film? You got it. If I was a conflict between Caesar, a genius artist who seeks to leap into utopian idealistic future, and his opposition, Mayor Franklin Cicero, who remains committed to aggressive status quo, portraying greed, special interests, and partisan warfare. As always with Coppola, this film is visually stunning, and the actors made such interesting choices that it almost feels like a contemporary Shakespearean work. They dance between the lines of comedy, drama, and the theatric. I loved every second of it, and I'm so glad Francis made it. I had it 5th on my 2024 ranked list. I know this movie might not be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. And I know I joked about not calling out Grandpa earlier, but I'm sorry. All the wannabe artists calling out Megalopolis is bullshit. This man made The Godfather and Apocalypse Now. You supposedly love the medium but won't see a piece by an artist who's made 4 of the best films of all time in fear of what? It being bad? But you will see the remake sequel number 8 because you know it will probably be alright. Anyone making those 4 films alone should be able to allow them to make whatever they please for the rest of their lives. Making Parasite should rightfully give you the freedom to keep making interesting movies like Mickey 17. I don't care how bloated Babylon was. It was unforgettable and pushed the medium forward.
Filmmaking, as probably as everything, is a game you should play with all your cards and all your dice and all whatever else you got. So each time I make a movie, I give it everything I have.
Right.
And I think everyone should, and I think everyone should do everything they do that way.
Nothing is so terrible as a pretentious movie. I mean, a movie that aspires for something really terrific and doesn't pull it off is shit, it's scum. And everyone will walk on it as such. And that's why poor filmmakers, in a way, that's their greatest horror, is to be pretentious. So here you are, on one hand, is trying to aspire to really do something. On the other hand, you're not allowed to be pretentious. And finally you say, fuck it. I don't care if I'm pretentious or not pretentious, or if I've done it or I haven't done it. All I know is that I am going to see this movie. And that for me, it has to have some answers. And by answers, I don't mean just a punchline. Answers on about 47 different levels.
I want you to think about what you want to contribute to this world. What do you want to stand for? What art do you want to consume? What art do you want to create? What art do you want to reward? Do you want to reward the 20th remake of something, or do you want to reward a piece that pushes us forward and not backwards? I know what the art I want to make. I would rather you think it's bad than have you feel nothing at all. I know I want to continue making and promoting art made by actual artists, unafraid to offend or inspire. In a world of less and less going for it, I appreciate when people like Francis Ford Coppola, Bong Joon-ho, or Scorsese, or Tarantino, or even you, or even me. I appreciate when people like us still believe in the art of going for it.
Watch me go while I'm strutting up ever so slow. Now Stingman, get in the groove, 'cause they're banging on the door, yes they're hard and they'll make a move. We're waking up those sleepers, you know we're so mischievous. Just what you'll do to keep us entertained.
What? You made it towards the end? That's so awesome. And I'm so grateful. So thank you guys genuinely from the bottom of my sincere Midwestern heart. About me, I'm Nico Swan. I'm a lifelong filmmaker, lifelong film watcher. And yeah, so thanks again for making it, because honestly, I didn't mean for it to be this long. I was hoping for a cool 37er, like last time, but gotta make a good vid, Also, if you watched the first one, or the late night movie, thanks again, because I'm not gonna say like I didn't know it was gonna like get a lot of views and stuff, because I was editing it and I was like, oh, this is good, but I thought maybe like 10K, you know what I'm saying? But like 45,000, that's crazy. So
also forgot to add that if you made it this far, you're part of the community. So leave the code word folio again, or should we do a new code word every time? If you think we should do folio every time, just put folio. If you think we should do a new one, then put the new code word echo, so I know you made it all the way, and I'll respond to your comment.
And since you're part of the tight community, I will follow back on Letterboxd. It was way more than I thought last time. So maybe like the first 11 or something, if it gets too crazy. But like I'll try my best. If I like miss any, like let me know. Yeah, no, you also can follow me. Like I'm the same on all platforms: Instagram, Nico X Swan, Letterboxd, Nico X Swan, and subscribe so you can see next week's video, the art of the music video. And I know last week I said it was going to be a different video, but this time I'm being 100% serious because I already wrote the script and recorded it. So keeping it a stack from now on, keeping it 100. All right, love you guys. Bye.